Ask most people what they want more of in life, and the likelihood is they'll quote both happiness and success. Indeed, they're definitely a zeitgeist of our time. People associate life satisfaction with this paradigm of eternal happiness and long lasting success. And the reality is, although they give us a good feeling when we experience them, they're not long lasting, they're ephemeral, they don't sustain us in any way, shape, or form. And consequently, when we're continuously chasing them, we're not actually contributing to our overall life satisfaction. What we need instead to be focusing on is ways of creating awareness, ways of creating an acceptance for where we're currently at, and also creating meaning, purpose, and connection. And I think as well, oftentimes our concept of meaning and purpose, we feel like as if it has to be some grandiose concept. We have to be saving lives on the daily. We have to have this job or role in life that is deemed worthy to be on our Instagram feed or on our Facebook feed, or again, we have to be doing these life altering things on a daily basis. And that's not it. I always talk to people about this whole idea of starting crazily small and paying attention to the small day-to-day things that make a difference, that add up and really transform your life. And that includes, creating that level of awareness. I mean, a lot of people feel when it comes to the meditative side of things, they need to sit down for 20 or 30 minutes. And I'm saying to people, look, if you can just take a really deep breath and be mindful just for that breath, but do it several times, if not a lot of times throughout the day, it is just as beneficial, because what you are doing each time is bringing yourself back into the present moment. And we spend so much time fighting our reality in a virtual reality, whether it be on our phones, whether it be avoiding dealing with our emotions or avoiding dealing with what it is that's going on in our life. We're always creating and constructing this alternative to what is actually real, instead of finding acceptance and finding a way to work through it and to transcend it and to fully experience it and acknowledge what it is that it's trying to teach us. And consequently, because we're so busy avoiding our lives and avoiding our reality and avoiding our pain and our suffering, we don't create the space to find purpose. We don't find what our meaning is because we're not living authentically. We're not being who it is that we really need to be. And my advice to people who are panicking a little bit, because I think purpose and meaning have become, as I said, these very much highfalutin words that are associated with a successful life. All of a sudden, yeah, I have to have purpose. People nearly panic because they're like, I don't actually know what my purpose is, or I don't have any meaning, or my life doesn't have any meaning. And again, as I said, if we can tone it down a little bit and recognize the day-to-day stuff that we can do that creates connection and that is a purposeful way of living, whether that be just having moments of reflection and solitude, basically just looking back on your day on a daily basis and recognizing what you did well and what you can potentially do better, doing things that are out of your way kind. Oftentimes we tend to be generous or kind when it suits us, and then when the opportunity comes along and we're either too busy or things are too hectic or it doesn't suit where we're at the moment, we're like, nah. It's about kind of trying to practice kindness purposefully, as opposed to just doing it when it suits you, or else when you feel you can post about it on your social media. And it's about recognizing that the small little things that you do make a difference. The small little hellos to people, or kind of just engaging with somebody when you don't necessarily have to, or just doing something nice for somebody even though they may not even know that you've done it, or kind of just going out of your way to be a decent purpose or person. This is all purposeful living. And the more purposefully you live your life, the more you are creating meaning on a daily basis. Because again, I think when we put too much emphasis on finding something, it eludes us completely. We just can't get a grasp of it. Whereas if we do the small little things, every day we have a choice. We have good and we have bad inside of us. And we need to recognize that, and we need to acknowledge that in order to be able to try and focus a little bit more on expressing the goodness and the kindness in ourselves, but also tolerating and compassionately trying to control and manage some of our more negative aspects, such as our jealousy, such as our tendency to want to get angry, or to feel like life is unfair or unjust, or to want to stamp over everyone in our quest for success. And it's about developing more kind of spiritually minded concepts. It's about trying to be aware that every single thing you do makes an impact on the world. Even the way you talk, if you gossip about other people, if you feel a need to kind of send content on your mobile that doesn't really reflect a virtuous way of life, I mean, that's not helpful. And again, you may think that you're very passive in what you're doing, but the reality is you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem that keeps people and groups, minorities down, as opposed to creating a world of fairness and a world of equanimity and a world where everyone looks out for everyone else. And I suppose it's every day practicing that wisdom. And I'm not saying that you need to be squeaky clean all the time. I mean, I've had people come to me and they're like, I just have to be honest all the time. And sometimes honesty isn't the best policy. I mean, sometimes it's kinder to, kind of tell a white lie. Likewise, if giving to somebody means that you have to really struggle or suffer, then that's not a time to be kind. It's about being wise about it. You have to recognize that you're human as well. And as much as we like to talk about free will, it's not all of it is available to us. We have commitments in life, we have all of these things working against us, our biases, our past pains. So it's about forgiving yourself, and yet trying to recognize ways in which you could be better and trying to implement them. And I suppose this is where I find the journaling practice is so beneficial. My journaling tends to just be a little bit more reflective. I look back on the day, and as opposed to just writing about the day, I try to engage with ways in which I could have been better. And it could be just a little thing like, oh Jesus, I could have let that person out in front of me, I wasn't in that much of a hurry. Just trying to pay attention to your life. This is why as well I move away from the positive thinking side of things. I feel like it's not about always thinking positive. It's about paying attention to the good stuff, trying to kind of increase it in our lives, increase the good thoughts, increase the good acts, increase the good practices. Having structure, I mean, it's so important in living a fulfilled life. I mean, we like to think about spontaneity and fun and all of these things, and it is important to have fun. It is important to, kind of move away from a very nihilistic mindset. You want to have meaning, you want to have a creative, spontaneous life. However, you get that through structure. You get that through practicing the things that create a space for your curiosity and create a space for your creativity, and that allow you to recognize the things that are actually fulfilling, as opposed to the culturally influenced things that we're told we should do, the nights out and all of these things that really only make us feel worse about ourselves. It's about finding that inner joy, that inner freedom, that inner sense of, do you know what, I feel really, really grateful for my life. I feel grateful for the opportunity to kind of live each day as well as I can. And try not to be over serious about it. I mean, we can take the whole kind of spirituality thing a little bit too far and it ends up becoming a spiritual bypass, but just trying to show up to your life every day in as decently a way as possible. If you'd like to work with me, get in touch with me on the website. It's fundamentals.ie.